Okay. We'll definitely have to use that at some later date on Bitchute. Or what is that you...
Rumble, Odyssey, Library.
Yeah, all those. Okay, I'm going to do the two endings.
And make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and everything else on Bitchute, YouTube, Odyssey, Library, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, MySpace, 4chan. Just get in there.
See, I can remember all of those platforms. And don't forget to write something down below, your comments, your questions. We always want to read all your comments and questions. I watched this fellow called, what's it, Chicken Little.
Unless you're a liberal. If you're a liberal and you comment, screw.
What is the guy's name? I Allegedly. Mark Sebastian, Captain Sebastian had me start watching this I Allegedly. And Alexander calls him Chicken Little. I like his channel, I really do. And I have to applaud the fact that he's able to talk to the camera and memorize the things that he wants to say as he's walking through these parks. Perhaps I can link to it down below. I'll try to, if I can figure out how. I think I can do that. I'll do that. Okay, let's do the ending of these. Good evening and welcome to BarbWire Strategy. My name is Colonel Jim Ed Love, and you're watching the fourth show of Season 3 on painting and lighting. Now, this show has been divided into at least 2, maybe 3. The first show was on lighting in this episode, and now this show is on painting specifically my shop. So this is the second time I've painted my shop. The first time I painted my shop was in 2007, and at that time, I really wasn't thinking of painting the shop, but you know what? Garages are all white, and I hate just white. I don't understand America's obsession with painting everything white. The whole houses are white, the garages are white, everything is white. I don't like everything being painted white. You need some kind of color in your house, especially in your wood shop. So I thought long and hard in 2007 when I was first turning the garage into a wood shop, and I finally came up with, well, I didn't come up with the idea. Actually, my wife, Sherry, she's the one that came up with the idea. I had a brochure laying around from the Container Store, and the brochure from the Container Store, because we use all of the alpha shelving. If you haven't noticed, my garage and my entire house here at the Ivory Tusk is loaded with alpha shelving. And so there was this advertisement, and it had the wall painted this kind of mintish green, lime green, and it illustrated the alpha shelving, especially the gray alpha shelving that they sell, extremely well. And so she said, well, why don't we paint the garage that? And I looked at it and I said, well, that's interesting. Yeah. And after I looked at it for a while, I thought about it. I thought, you know what? That's the color I want my wood shop to be. I knew immediately. I went over. Now this time I didn't go to Sherwin-Williams. I think I went to Home Depot, and I had them match the color as close as they could on that brochure. I still have that brochure. And so I painted the entire garage that color, and then the other color I painted it was kind of this gold color. I painted some of the trim on the equipment, this gold color, and that gold is, I basically took the gold from Powermatic, from my bandsaw. Their official color for their company is this gold color. And I thought, well, the gold and the green, I don't know if they go together or not. They go together for me, sort of. I mean, they looked fine. I think they looked fine in all the photographs of the shop from years past. But with the new ceiling, I could not stay with that color of green or the gold. So we had to move on to other colors. To illustrate to you the paint that I used out here in the garage, these are my samples. One is honeybee yellow and one is honeydew green. And now, so right here, what we used, of course, this right here is the ceiling. So let's start with that. I started with this mainly because I've always liked the color of aqua, and part of that reason is because of my childhood home in the kitchen. It had aqua wallpaper, this aqua and gold design. It was the 1950s style. The home was built in 1960, and then it was lost to vicious shark-like attorneys and crooked judges in 2011. But nonetheless, I still liked the color aqua. And the aqua, I decided that I would put that on the ceiling. Of all the colors that I had to pick from in the color palette of the Maurer company that provided the ceiling, aqua was the most appealing. Now, there were some other colors, as I said in my ceiling video, that were appealing, but I really like the aqua. So starting with the aqua, I started from there, and of course, right there, we decided that the trim would be aqua. Moving on to the walls, we decided to do this honeybee yellow, because this color right here, this turquoise and the yellow, see, turquoise was real popular in the 1950s, so was yellow. And so I even looked at doing pink, I looked at doing mauve green, I looked at a lot of things, but it still had to go along with the turquoise. So this yellow went well with the turquoise, and that's what color the wall is. Then the doors was going to be a different color, and that's going to be this honeydew green, and that's what color the door is. I think the combination goes well. You can decide for yourself if you like it. I think it's appeasing, and I'll show you a shot of the shop right now. As you can see, it's really nice. And the workbenches, I'm going to go back and I'm going to paint them later on. And then I'm also going to paint my toolbox that we've had since the 1950s. In fact, this toolbox has a history to it. The toolbox was actually used in Fort Worth during the flood of 1949. It was on the only wrecker in Fort Worth that was able to pull people out of the water. My father purchased the wrecker way back in the early 1950s or early 1960s or late 50s, and this toolbox was on that wrecker. And so it's a very strong toolbox, and I decided to paint it because it used to be white and it was rusting. So I illustrated before, I don't like everything being painted white. So I painted it this gold color. But now that the colors of the shop are changing officially, I will go in and I will paint it a different color. I will probably paint it the green color, or I might paint it the color of the ceiling. I haven't decided yet. Definitely I've decided the workbenches will be painted. As you can see, I've already painted the trim on the front, this turquoise, and then the paint of the rest of it where you see the lime green, I will paint over that and paint it the color of the doors, which is the honeydew. As far as a few of the other things, like where the oscillating sander is, I may or may not paint it, but it'll be at a later date. If I do it, I'll give it a shout out or do a video on it at a later date. One important aspect about the paint that caused a problem to some extent, and it wasn't a huge problem, but it was a lot of work. And that is the metal. This has to do with the metal ceiling and the paint. That's why I saved it for the painting video. Right here is what I'm talking about. Right here is where the ceiling comes in. It's about 1.25 inches. These ribs come in, and because it's vaulted, it has to fit in. And so I had to go in and chisel. Here's the sheetrock right here, this yellow. I had to chisel 1.5 inches down all the way around the entire ceiling this way, and then of course on the other side over there. It's all the same. But here I can show you the detail. This is the closest spot I can show you the detail. And then I filled this with caulk, and then I came back and I painted the ceiling first, and then I painted the wall. I took this track down. This came out really well. All of this is perfectly sealed. I had to go back over this many times to get the caulk in there, and I got it as smooth as I could, but when you're wearing gloves and you're reaching in there and trying to smooth it out, it's just not an easy job. Smoothing this out, I got all these cracks filled, every single one of them. Well, that's all I have for you on paint. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you get something out of it. Most importantly, I hope you enjoy the colors of my wood shop. And if you don't, well, you can comment down below, or if you do like them, you can comment down below as well. But nonetheless, remember, it's always a good idea to paint your garage or paint your wood shop or whatever you make your garage into, what kind of workshop you make it into. I think it's a great idea to paint it. In fact, the library was the first room we painted, and then the garage was the second room I painted because I needed it to become my wood shop. And I could not think and design until I had it just the way I wanted it. and I was very happy with those colors. So until next time, this is BarbWire Strategy. My name is Colonel Jim Ed Love, and we'll see you the next time when we're going to talk about logistics for the shop. Good evening.